Hi, coworkers. It's Bridgette, and welcome back to the Employee Lounge podcast. Hi, coworkers. Welcome back to the Employee Lounge podcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode. I hope everyone is doing well. It's still March, so happy March. I hope this month is treating you very well. I hope you're safe, warm, happy, and most importantly, healthy, right? So, my 1-year anniversary of working from home is around the corner. Can you believe that? A whole 1 year of working from home. I cannot believe that it's something. I can't believe I even said those words, but here we are. 1 year anniversary coming up. So I'm going to do a whole podcast on that. I'm going to tell you about my views and my thoughts on it and what I think about it. It was very interesting. Of course, last year was a very interesting and tough year, but working from home, I'll give you my thoughts on that. So, but I would love to hear your thoughts. If you are working from home, let me know. You can always follow me on Instagram. My account name is it's Employee Lounge Podcast. It's on Instagram. Please follow me. Or you can always email me. My email address is askemployeeloungepod@gmail.com. And I would love to hear about it. Love to hear about your thoughts, especially all the parents. How's working from home for the parents out there? I know it's difficult. I know it's tough. But you made a whole 1 year. That's something, right? So this is for you. You made it, because it was definitely a rough and difficult year. And we're still going through it. We're still working from home. Well, some people. I don't know if everyone, but some people are still working from home, and some people are actually working at their office. And I really hope everyone that is out there working and doing what they need to do, I hope you're being safe. Hope you're protecting yourselves. Just, be aware of surroundings. That's all I can say. So let's move on. Today's topic I am going to talk about is uncomfortable work situations. And of course, I was inspired by another thing on television, but this thing was with two talk show hosts, and it was very interesting to watch. So we're going to talk about it. So I will take a short break and we'll get right back into the topic. Okay? Be right back. Okay, we are back. So, as you are very aware, or if you're not, I'm just going to do a little brief overview of what happened. There were two talk show hosts. You know the show, okay? No names. But there were two talk show hosts that had a little interaction with one another, and it was heated. It was a very heated conversation. But something stood out to me about that conversation yet again. And I think it's really getting noticed everywhere. But if you saw the whole segment, one talk show host was heated, like, literally screaming, being very hyped, okay? Another one, the other talk show host was very calm, very professional, very stayed put, didn't do anything, just listen. And it was very interesting to watch because normally in that type of situation, and especially on other shows, everyone will be talking, everyone would be fighting. It would be complete drama and it will be all over the news, right? Like you'll see it in all of the news, all of the blogs, everywhere. It would just be everywhere. Like, this is what happened during this talk show. This person was mad at this person. Like, it would be everywhere, right? All of the websites. But this exchange was so realistic to me. Because, yes, I think a lot of the talk shows, in that type of situation, they have to get really hyped up. They have to have the drama because of the ratings. It's good for ratings. But this situation with the calm talk show host and the other one that was just very passionate, we'll say, was very realistic. Because that type of situation is what's going on in today's workplaces, right? Like, you will literally have to either be the calm one or you'll either be the hyped one. Am I right? Like, have you ever been in that situation? Like, say with your boss or say with another coworker, but mainly with your boss. Have you ever been in that situation where you had to be the calm one when your boss is the one screaming and getting all worked up? Think about it. Like, that was very realistic to me. And from what I gather, because the calm talk show host had to do other interviews with other different shows, and the calm talk show host was like, well, at that moment, that calm talk show host didn't feel the need to act that way. Because the response was, realistically, a lot of people at workplaces can't act that way, right? They can't act that way. So that calm talk show host had to really set an example, right? To everyone watching, like, listen, I'm going to stay calm and respectful because that's what's happening in today's world, in today's workplaces. No one has the chance to get all worked up, with another person and start fighting and all that. And that makes a lot of sense. And when I heard that response, I was like, you know what? That is so true. 100% true. And I'm so happy that the calm talk show host set that example and showed that on national television, even though it would have been great for ratings. But that talk show host really took the easy way out and really took the calm way out and really took the realistic way out, right? I don't want to say easy way out, but really the calm, professional way out. Because no one can really do that in a 9-to-5 job for whatever shift you have. No one can really do that. No one. I mean, and granted, it's all depending on that type of person, okay? Because there's some people that's like, oh, well, it would have been on, it would have been a fight for real. And that's your prerogative. I get it. But also, there are some people that have to take the calm route because that's their job, that's their reputation, that's their livelihood. They can't act the other way, because look at all the consequences that can happen. That person can get fired. That person can, be disciplined, have something on their record, and that's something you need to avoid, right? Like, you don't want to resign and then take that type of reputation with you. It doesn't look good. So what do you do in that situation? You just sit there and you take it and you act professional and you just move on. I'm not saying it's the right way, but in that case, maybe it's the only way. And it brings me back to my question. Have you ever been in that type of situation where it was so uncomfortable that all you had to do was just sit there and take it? I mean, granted, there are some situations where it's just like, absolutely not. I will report you. I will talk to your higher boss. I will talk to the boss that's higher than the higher boss. Like, no, there are some situations where you just have to report because it's really uncomfortable. But I mean, like, in this type of situation, if a boss is yelling at you, did you just sit there or did you just shout right back? And I heard both. I heard both sides. Like, I heard someone really did have a shouting match with their boss. And then on the other hand, I was in that type of situation, and I'll go more in depth with it. I didn't shout. I just sat there and took it. And, do I regret it? We'll talk about that. But it just makes you realize, like, what you have to do, right, to keep your job. What you have to go through. And I'm sure that talk show host, I'm sure, there are so many emotions running through her that day. Like, she was probably like ready to go and fight and, act unprofessional. But she, that talk show host didn't. That talk show host literally was just like, okay, well, I'm going to let you speak and then I'll speak and we'll move on from that. And the talk show host also was like, oh, I'm also talking to you because I not only see you as a co-host or a coworker, but I also see you as a friend. That's a different situation. But in the real world, no, you're either a co-worker or you're my boss. No friends here. And this situation is making me uncomfortable and this environment is uncomfortable. So what do you do? What do you do? What is more important to you? Your dignity, your self-respect, or your job and a paycheck and your livelihood? See, these type of questions, I want to ask and really need to know, because obviously I was in that situation and I'll tell you which one I picked. But these type of things are happening today. And I'm glad that this was on national television because it shows, and I'm glad the talk show host actually spoke to other platforms about it, because it really raises the question and the conversations at hand about what is going on in the workplace. What type of work environment you're in, and is that work environment safe and okay for you? And probably not, right? Probably not, but you go through it. You suck it up and go through it because that's your job. And I'm sure that's what that talk show host had to do. Just suck it up, let that person speak, and move on. But, did that have to happen that way? No. I don't think it's okay that hyped talk show host was like acting that way. But And this comes to show, like, when people are in certain positions, especially higher up positions, they can act any type of way because they think they're safe, they think they're protected, and they think it's okay. When is it not okay? That is my question. When is it not okay? Because it seems like these type of situations that keep coming up, everyone is either defending them or everyone is either against them. People that are defending these people, why are you doing that? And why do you think that's okay? Do you really think it's okay for a coworker to scream in your face? Seriously? Do you really think that's okay? What about for your children? If your children start working, do you really think that's okay for someone to scream in their face, especially a manager? See, we need to start setting the examples. We need to start setting the rules, and we need to start showing what is okay and not okay. So I'm really glad that they showcased it because, and I'm really glad that that happened because the conversation needs to start. We need to start about how to treat other people at the workplace, right? We need to start having that type of conversation. Like, here's a perfect example. Hopefully this could be a training moment in a workplace. Like, look what happened. We have a calm worker and we have a not so calm worker. We need to start. Okay. And I know there's many, trainings that are happening, thank goodness. But sometimes the trainings are not enough. Maybe there should be another course of action because once you get the training, you get your certificate and then you move on. And then it happens again. It happens again. And then what? You have to do another training and another certificate. So you're always going to do the training, but when is the work going to start? When is the work going to actually happen and actually make some type of moves in this workplace? Because you can only go to so many trainings about professionalism and treating others the way you want to be treated. I'm just saying. Because, there needs to be something else. Because I'm sure there's going to be another situation on national television where this is going to happen. And then what? And then what? And now that show is on hiatus because now there's an investigation. Well, I'm sure this has happened many times before, right? But now that it's on national television, everything stopped. There's an investigation. I'm sure there were many complaints. I'm sure there was many things happening behind the scenes. But again, no one says anything. But until it's on national television, until it's like everywhere, oh, we need to do a work investigation. It's absurd. This should have been already corrected in the beginning, right? I'm sure there are many people that have worked at this place, felt some type of uncomfortableness, and it still continued. This is what I'm saying. We really need to start doing the work beforehand, before it gets blown out of proportion. It needs to get better in the beginning before it doesn't in the end. Don't you agree? Because now it raises the conversation. Now it's going to be everywhere. Now it's, and then that's great. But you also put your whole job, your whole workplace in a bad light. And once you get bad publicity, that's just it, So what do you coworkers think about that? And have you ever been in that type of situation? So let me know, because of course I would love to know. So comment and follow me on Instagram, Employee Lounge Podcast, or you can email me at this email address, askemployeeloungepod@gmail.com. And let's start having this conversation, because I'm sure this is going to happen again. Probably not with this workplace, but maybe somewhere else, right? And then we're going to have the same conversation again, but no correct action is going to take place, in my opinion. Hopefully there will be, but who knows? We'll see from the whole investigation. I'm sure they're not going to, publicize it, but maybe they find something from it. But at least they're doing the work. So I give them credit, but still, I'm sure this has happened way before, and now there's an investigation. So workplaces, we need to stop these uncomfortable situations beforehand, before it gets really bad. Just a little advice. Just a little tip. Okay. So I'm going to take a little short break and we'll be right back. Okay, and I am back once again. Thanks for tuning in again. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about my experiences. So, here we go. Yes, I had 2 experiences where 2 managers have yelled at me. Did I provoke this? No, I did not provoke it. It just happened. So I'm going to be very honest to you. It really just happened. And it took me off guard, to be honest. I'm going to talk about the first incident. So the manager at the time, the director at the time, was very new. This director replaced a previous director of mine that I had a good work relationship with. So this new director came, and this new director was acting like a new director, being the boss. Okay, and if you know what that means. You know what that means. So I was really trying with this new director. Like, I was helping the director, whatever the director needed. I was there. Whatever the information the director wanted, I gave it to the director. Like, I was being very, very nice. Okay. And I was being helpful, and I'm being very honest here. Like, I did not give a reason or any type of reason for this director to act this way with me. So, one day I was just in the new director's office. We had a conversation. The director asked me to do something. I did it. Okay, sure. No questions asked. I did it. All of a sudden, the conversation took a turn. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting yelled at. And I just sat there because I was, and I can just tell you what my emotions were. Like, they were everywhere. So I was puzzled. I was confused. I was angry. I'm going to be honest. And I really didn't think that I deserved it. I didn't deserve it at all. So while this director is yelling at me, I was like, okay. So, okay. So once the conversation ended and the meeting ended, went home, and I was being polite. I even, wished the director good night, wished all the employees that were working there good night, and walked out. But then when I got home, or on that drive home, all the thoughts were in my head. I was like, wow, I cannot believe I got yelled at ever in my life working at a job. Like, really? Oh my goodness. Like, what happened? Where and why and how? Like, it happened so fast that I just had to process what happened on my way home. And once I got home, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I didn't deserve it. I did what I had to do. And at this point, I think my only option was to resign. And that's what I did. I did resign from the job because, I wasn't going to take that, especially when I didn't deserve it. And I don't like being in the position that I'm forced in. Does that make sense? I don't like being in a position that I'm forced in. Like I was being forced to be this bad employee that I wasn't. Does that make sense? I didn't like it. Don't put me in a position that I know I should not be in. Like I'm not a bad employee. I know I'm a hard worker. I know I can get the job done. But you're literally labeling me as this bad employee to the fact that you had to scream at me. So I was like, you know what? No, I don't deserve it. And I had to resign. And that's what I did. I put in my notice and resigned from that position. Did I want to resign? Not really. I didn't want to resign, but I felt like I had no choice to resign. And probably the director wanted me to resign, to be honest. But you know what? This is what is wrong with that whole scenario. Okay. Uncomfortable situations. Maybe it is a plot for an employee to resign. Maybe it's a plot for the employee to leave the company. But how is that okay? How is that okay? All the employee wants to do is work. I'm going to say that one more time. All employees want to do is simple. They just want to work. It's very simple. So, yeah, it could have been a whole thing for me to resign, and I did, and I fell for it. But again, I'm not going to sit and have someone just yell at me for no reason. Just no reason. And I hope that doesn't happen for you. If you know that you are in an uncomfortable work situation, don't stick it out. Do not stick it out. Do not say, okay, it'll get better tomorrow. Because let me tell you, it probably won't. It probably won't. You'll probably be miserable every single day. And I'm being honest. So if you know you are in an uncomfortable work situation, you know when it's time to go. And yes, you probably have to resign. And yes, you probably won't have a plan, but you'll have a plan. You'll make a plan. You'll make it work. But if you are in a worse situation than what I just explained, then you need to report it. Go to the boss's boss. Go talk to someone in a higher up position and report it. Because I know my situation was, in my eyes, small, but there are bigger situations out there that is just not allowed. Okay. Just not allowed. So if you are in that type of situation, please report it. Don't be afraid. Protect yourself. Okay. And always defend yourself. Always. For me, I knew it was just time to go. So I was going to be the calm co-host, talk show host. I was going to be the calm one because it was just time. It was my time to go anyways. But if you are in a worse situation, defend yourself. Honestly, yes, it does depend on the situation, but worse situations, you have to do what you have to do to protect yourself. I'm sorry, you do. So take that advice the best way you can. I can't, I'm not in your situation. I don't know what's going on, but I always say that when there's a will, there's a way. Okay. And you will find that way. Okay. All right, coworkers. I'm going to take another break and we'll be right back. Wednesday, and I am back. So, all in all, more of the story, it's you either be the calm coworker or you'll be the uncalm coworker, the not calm one, the not nice one, the hype one. So, pick your player here, okay? I mean, I'm not you. I don't know how your personality is, but hopefully you'll pick the right player. Okay? Okay. And also, do what's best for you. Always. If you know you're not being treated the way you want to be treated, or if you know you're just really in a very toxic work environment, okay? When you know. So do what's best for you and do what's best for your family. Do what you need to do because no one deserves to be treated unprofessionally, okay? And no one deserves to be working in a toxic work environment. So that's just my little advice for you. Take it any way you want it, but it's the truth, okay? So coworkers, you know what time it is. It's time for me to go. Thank you again for listening. I'm so happy that you tuned in to this episode. Again, all resources are in my description. So if you need help, please get help. Please. It's okay. Just click on the link. Okay? No questions asked. Just go get some help. So coworkers, thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. Tune in next week for the next episode. Bye, coworkers.